we can do a final review of the beta when the beta is about to end, but it has been approximately a week, a little over a week, like a week and 2 days. So we can talk about how far it has been going on with Wuthering Waves beta and how I feel about it, right? Honestly, I think we can do a little bit of like and review things, right? Because the game is going to keep on going. I feel like I have all the rights to talk about it. So it's going to be very simple. So I have this here. So we can talk about the good. What's very good about Wuthering Waves right now in the current beta needs in terms of improvements. And the final question is it ready? Or for another word is what could be better, right? Those are the three things I want to talk about. But actually, we'll just delete these and we'll write it as we go. Let's talk about the good. Right, because as far as we know, the game's been going out, and we have a pretty good gist of what to expect. So the good. Let's start with the most obvious thing: combat. The combat in Wuthering Waves beta is great. It's amazing. As a person who's been coming from like different Gacha games and different kind of AAA games, as an ARPG, standing as an ARPG, Wuthering Waves stands at pretty good combat. It's fluid, it's crisp, it's got solid foundations, and honestly, it feels like it's challenging. Not too much though, but it's got the right amount. Essentially, the game boils down to, if you know how to dodge an enemy. So it kind of, let's go by 3 stages, right? Stage 1 is you don't think about dodging or parrying. You're just attacking this one enemy constantly, and that's it. Stage 2 is when you start to learn to dodge. Like, you can see the enemies about to move, and about that whatever kind of attack they're about to do, it's going to hit you. And it depends greatly, and basically it's asking if you can actually dodge that shit. If you can dodge that shit, like that's the stage 2. Stage 3 is understanding that enemies can be parryable, and they have like this golden circle coming out, and you have the means and you have like the muscle memory to actually parry the enemies, so you can break them, so you can stun them, and then you can just deal even more damage. It has various layers where they give you a lot of benefits and a lot of like cool shit for actually paying attention to how the game works very thoroughly. And they have tutorials. They work. Not all the way. Okay, let's just put Genshin as the comparison game right now, right? Like, because the game that is closest to this game right now, that is in contention, that is in competition, because of the communities, because community likes to compare games to each other, and that's not bad. It's when, they start to add some random bullshit, that's when it starts to get a little hairy. But in general, yes, comparison is unavoidable, because that's what we're trying to fight it back, right? That's what the actual thing. Genshin don't really tell you. The Genshin just puts you in with a team and then give you like two goddamn paragraphs about a character, and they call it a day. They're like, all right, this is what they do, this is how they work, test it, like, just play. Star Rail does the same thing. Star Rail kind of does the same thing. Star Rail just says like, hi, this is a full description of every skill. Dude, that's not a tutorial. That you just have what that is like you're just skipping an extra step to go into your character menu and then clicking the skill tab and clicking each skill and see what they do. That's not really much of a tutorial. That's just more of like, here, play this character for 2 minutes. Wuthering Waves tell you pretty well on how a character plays. Like they because every character has a good skill expression. They have a very well manner of like showing how its character works. The tutorial follows up with that. The tutorial just kind of puts you in a scenario. It's not that thorough. It's like, right, they kind of give you like the basic combos and like how you can mix your combos with your skill and your ultimate. Sorry, the Resonant Liberation. And that's great because it actually makes you understand how that character works. I think the biggest character right now that I have friends with talk about with problems is Danjin, the character that I'm playing right now. Danjin, a lot of people think you just press skill and that's it, or like just skill, and then they're like, wait, why is she so clunky? Until they play the tutorial to realize you're supposed to mix normals and skills together, and then when you have a meter filled, you can get all your health back, because every time you skill, you lose health. So people are like, wait, why is my Danjin losing health? Because I haven't done anything wrong. Because that's what happens when you use skill. And once you get enough threshold on your bar, you get to refund these things back. See, I got my health back. And you also get a massively stronger charge attack. It's very good. If you didn't read the tutorial, if you didn't do the tutorial, you'll never know this. But the tutorial makes sure you understand that this is the kit that she has, and you should do it. it's definitely give you like a lot of fundamental goodness, and you know, nothing screams better than dungeon. So that's what it's fun. And also, like, every character feels unique in a way. Well, we don't know because like, well, we can't really make sure because almost every single character in every single gacha on version 1.0, they have various skill expressions. We saw that was with Alchemy Stars as well, with other games as well. At the very first, all the characters that you get usually are kind of very different from each other. They have like differences between each character, and we can see that in Wuthering Waves as well. Every character has their own gimmicks, and those gimmicks work. Oh my god, they're fun. They're extremely fun. Heck, I didn't even know Chichia would had an extra depth than just be a charge shot or like stuff. So like, you know, Mortefi is more like Shinsho in this game. Kalshara, I can't have him built right now. It's still rough. Chichia has the machine gun. Yang Yang is like your average swordster with a decent CC, not full CC, but she's got pretty decent CC that you can pair it up with Encore, where Encore is a walking nuke that you have to charge up. You have to wind up that shit like a spirit bomb. So you have to use your swap tech like with Yang Yang to make sure that she's not damaged while charging up that big boom. We got Yuanwu, which has like a field, like an albedo field, stuff like that. Ling Yang, you know, Baiji, healer, Tao Chi, shielder with a counter, dungeon, expend HP to deal damage and then recover HP back. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of like varying stuff. It's kind of cool. It's crazy. Another thing that I really like, that is really good in this game, is movement. Again, fluid, flexible, doesn't cuck you. Movement in Wuthering Waves is great, especially climbing. I think Wuthering Waves looked at Genshin. This is one of those things where, whoa, Kurogames actually saw Genshin Impact movement and like exploration and said, we can do better than that. In Genshin, you have to just like walk, like when you especially wall climb, you have to you go in a very slow speed and all you have is like jump like that. In Wuthering Waves, if you press run, you can just wall run. It's a much faster option to go by, and sure, it does expand your stamina even more, but that's about it. But like, you know, it's stamina expenditure that is way worth it than just what Genshin actually has. And of course, we have this, the glider. Two things that are different is every character is given an air dash, and later on in the game tutorial, you get a hook shot, which you can just hook mid-air to get a little bit of air. The hook shot has a 10-second cooldown, which is kind of oofy, but honestly, I get it. You don't want to abuse the ever-living crap out of that. Also, Wise is here. That's funny. Another amazing thing in the movement is they have auto free walk, auto parkour. Let's put it that. Whenever you run and there's like an obstacle near, like you're about to hit him with an obstacle, the character automatically kind of vaults over it. It's like Metal Gear Rising, or like Metal Gear Rising has really good movement despite having a very rough, bulky terrain, because Ninja Run allows you to just parkour over shit like pretty easily. So like this rock in Genshin Impact, you would have to like jump over something like that, but I'm just running and your character is automatically vaulting. Yeah, the character automatically climbs or vaults depending on how rough the terrain is. They will literally just auto walk for you, and that's great. It's like that. She just vaulted. Like this boxes, yeah, she just vault. I'm not pressing jump or anything else. I'm just running towards it, and your character auto vaults, and that's great. It's amazing. A good thing about movement is the ledges, the lisps. So in Genshin Impact, and the most notorious thing about Genshin Impact is if you're climbing a wall, but at the top of the wall that you're climbing, there's an indent, right? There's a dent, and you can't jump up, so your character just auto falls, and it's pretty much one of the worst things about climbing in Genshin Impact. Climbing just doesn't have a lot of net variance unless you have characters to fix that shit. In Wuthering Waves' case, you get an automatic animation which makes you vault over it, the lisp, like this lisp. If you walk over it, if you run, your character auto vaults over. So you're not cucked by that little lisp on the roof. Your character is programmed so you can just vault over that bullshit. Okay, that one's too big. But you can still like shimmy your way in there. It's fine. That automatic climb over, like just a little whinny over, makes exploring the world so much simpler and a lot easier. You're not cucked. The movement is really not really not screwing you over. See what I mean? If this was Genshin, right? If this was Genshin, when you get right here, right, in Genshin, you wouldn't have gotten up. The game would say, nah. There's a vertical, there's a horizontal dent here. You can't jump over this shit. You're gonna have to go down, shimmy your way through your side, maybe where it's a little less indented, and then you can climb up. Wuthering Waves just says, nah. Your character is flexible enough to just vault over that shit. There's no stopping it. There's one problem with movement though, and it's jump. The basic jump is everything is good. The only reason like we don't talk about complaining about jump as much is that we're given so many different movement options that it kind of compensates for it. And I know I get why jump has literally like halts momentum and puts you like vault you up really fast at a good height, and it's mostly because they made sure that the jump height is high enough that you can do a plunge attack just straight from jump. Everyone gets a pretty much Shan Yun buff pretty much. The jump height is just perfect enough to, well actually yeah, just perfect enough to do glide, vault attacks, and that's it. But the fact that it halts your momentum most of the time is would prefer it if they don't. But yeah, because of all that fluidness, I was able to climb up that shit no problem, and I can pretty much do on the way back as well. So like see, jump, vault over, see, I'm all hip here. Now that my crown thing, we do that and we glide, and then we hit the wall, and then we wall run, vault over. That's how fluid that thing is. Extremely fluid movement. It doesn't screw you over. Motions for almost every situation, and it's seamless. It's very good. And that's about it. That's kind of where the goods stop. There's a couple of other things that are good, but the biggest goods, right? The biggest factors of what makes this game great and what I'm very excited for kind of ends there. Unfortunately. Very unfortunately. And again, before I go to the bad, before I go explain why the beta has a lot of issues, I would like to remind you again is that this is a beta, and I'm saying the bad things about what's bad about the beta currently, so Kurogames can, you know, take that into feedback potentially, maybe, because I'm a very small content creator now, so no one really has to listen to me, but it just gives you an idea that where like Kurogames can do better, and I hope they do, because at the end of the day, I want this game to be good. I want this game to be good, just maybe even better than Genshin Impact. You know, give Genshin Impact a wake-up call that it needs to be competitive. And Wuthering Waves is probably like one of the very few hopes for doing that. Unfortunately, has quite a bit of problems in the beta. I think there's no better way to explain what's very bad about the beta so far than this. The ecosystem. Oh my god, where do I begin, chat? The good is still amazing, because that's like an absolutely huge part of the game, and honestly, as those two are great, like you should be able to have a decent game. But in order to have a great game, like, right, it's in the decent game range because its core mechanics are good. But in order for the game to be good or even great, is for every single aspect they put in to be just as good. Right? You can't expect a game to be good by having two main core components of the game carrying the ever-living shit out of everything else that is bad about the game. If you want a great game, every single aspect has to hit at least average or above. Then we can say that this game got like a lot of things covered, and therefore it's a good game. If only two things are great but everything else is largely negative, then I don't know. At that point, I don't know if we should call it a bad game. Maybe decent at best. Right? No, actually, that's the word I want to use. It would be decent at best, if that's the case. The bad is the ecosystem. It needs a rework. Please, it needs a rework. For those that don't understand what an ecosystem is, so ecosystem is basically this game's version of artifacts, relics, equipments, you know, anything that could get you a set bonus and stuff like that with your main stat, like integral to building your characters. The problem is this whole system is kind of screwed. I actually think that it's very, very fragmented and needs a whole like revamp, whole rework. Because frankly speaking, I have no idea how to improve the situation, right? Even if it's improved in a manner, I don't know if that fundamentally fixes the issue. That's where my doubts start to begin. The ecosystem, let me explain this, right? So instead of going to domains in or calyxes in Genshin Impact or Star Rail, where you spend some of your energy to get the relics / artifacts. This game, well, actually, you can still get artifacts Overworld, but this game allows you to kill mobs, Overworld monsters, right? Not humans. If you fight humans, you don't drop echoes. And you have a 20% chance to gain the echo of that monster that you just killed. If you kill a unit and they leave you an echo, you pick it up, and that's your artifact, basically. However, while there are a few exceptions to the case, almost all of them have randomized set. They get assigned to a randomized set and a randomized stat. There might be a difference between which cost has which stats, because I think only the 4 cost echoes have crit rate and crit damage as their main stat. First of all, that's already a big headache, because you're not only fighting the chance of 20% for you to get the set echo. You're fighting a chance for what set that thing belongs in and what main stat it gets. And also, depending on what enemy you kill, they have different costs. They have 1 cost, 3 costs, and 4 costs. And this is important because there's a max cost to your echoes. So, I guess Kuro realized that if you only just farm boss enemies and cut their echoes, you can just put 5 of those things together and just call it a day, because you can just have 5 full things of crit rate or crit damage and just yay, we did it. Doesn't work like that, unfortunately. It's actually 10. You start with 10, and then as you actually explore it, that cost limit increases to 12. Instead, now you have to actually find yourself a way to balance out the costs of the echoes. It's enough to actually have 2 1 cost echoes, 2 3 cost echoes, and 1 4 cost echo. It's kind of like that balance. It's fine. So these are substats, right? So you can't every five levels of your echoes unlocks the potential, not straight up unlock, potential to unlock a substat, the convene. However, it's not free, right? You can't just say, oh sweet, we hit a certain level, that's it. No, you need a tuner, and I don't know why. There's a different tuner for different tiers of echoes, so you can't use a 5-star tuner on a 4-star echo. You need a 4-star tuner for your 4-star echo. You need to use this and a little bit of in-game currency to buy a substat. I'm not exactly sure how different they are, but I have heard that the substat range, the minimum and maximum range value, is actually really huge, to a point that it's kind of copium. That's what I've heard. I'm not too sure about that, so don't quote me on that, but I've heard that the range you get is how in Genshin Impact you either get a 2.7 crit rate or a 3.2. We're talking in single digit difference. Actually single digit difference regarding that scenario, which is kind of crazy. The fact that you were required to have a separate resource to unlock substats that you've already spent other resources to level up, that doesn't sit right with me. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I'm not gonna lie. Not to mention, once you unlock that substat, you're locked. That's it. You can't change this. You can't change what substat it has. You can't revert this shit. It's fine. Once you get that substats, that's it. You that's it. You're good. I'm trying to find a perfect example. Oh, yeah, no, here it is. So Crownless, I unlocked a substat of critical damage of 19.3%. Wowza, that's great. This one, I unlocked a crit damage substat, but it's 10%. That is nearly double. That is nearly double of the same substat on a same rank. Oh, actually different cost. So that might be a little bit different, but that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, that's 9.8 Resonance Liberation damage bonus. And that is 4.2 Resonance Liberation bonus. Same cost. That's kind of sussy, not gonna lie. Let's just look at just flat HP too, right? Flat HP, 280 flat HP, 560 flat HP on a single line of substats. What the fuck is that supposed to be? 6.4 energy regen, 10.9 energy regen. What is this huge difference? Why is there a huge difference on these things? What the hell is going on? Also, the substat is so different, right? They have resonant skill damage bonus, they have these basic attack damage bonus, weird ass heavy attack damage bonus. There's so many. There's so many, dude. There's so many random bullshit. It's kind of crazy, dude. Not to mention, like, and on top of that, you get shit like this. This is a fire set. This is a fire set, and you get ice damage bonus. Oh, why? Why is this happen? Why does this happen to us, man? Why does this happen to us, dude? I don't know. I don't know. Oh, shit, man. And hold on. Sorry, chat. Sorry. I want to add one more thing. Let's say I want to level up this guy, Chasm Guardian. Yay, it's level 15, the max is 25. I have all these other echoes that are level 0s. Let's try to upgrade it. They're not fodderable. These, when you get an echo, you cannot fodder these echoes. Once you get them, that's it. Like, you can't do anything with them. The only time you can use echoes as fodder is that if you actually leveled up that echo. And essentially what they're saying is, oh, remember all the EXP you used on this echo, we will refund that to you as fodder for the other echo you're trying to build. And also, Overworld is not that huge, right? Actually, Overworld is huge, and that's another point that like comes with the ecosystem. Overworld is kind of barren. That's another negative side. If you're gonna make a game where you need to literally go out in the world to hunt monsters down to get their echoes, you should at least, give quite a bit of monsters to work with. In most of the cases, I legit had to kind of go out of my way to just constantly find monsters every single time, which kind of forces the player to become the Great British Empire every single day just so you can get your chance, not even guaranteed, a chance to get a 5-star echo. Because you still, when you pick up that echo, you still have a chance that you will still get a 4-star, or if you're extremely unlucky, like very, very unlucky, you can get a 3-star. When getting echo, you have to fight 4 RNGs. RNG of catching an echo, 20% fix, RNG of rarity, RNG of set, and RNG of main stat. Actually 5 RNGs. RNG of substat, which you need another resource. The problem is that you're going to spend a lot of time. That's it. Like, that's the big problem. In a game where there's after you do main content, you're gonna settle down and just play like an hour daily. Do you have enough resources and time for you to not only bring yourself but your friends together into Overworld to hunt every monster existed in the game? Like, you have the mental capacity and the time capacity and resources to actually go around the whole world every single day just to get a chance of getting an echo, a chance of getting a 5-star echo, a chance of getting an echo that is in the site that you want, a chance of getting a set echo that has the main stat that you want, and also by extension get a substat that you really would like to have. I don't think I have the mind to do that. It does not solve the issue. This is the problem. This is the biggest problem of the ecosystem. But XD, if you just go, it's the same as Genshin Impact. If you go into the domain, you have a random chance of, like, you have a guaranteed. You especially on max adventuring, you have a guarantee of getting a 2 5-star artifact. Yeah, and you're fighting between 2 sets, and you're fighting between a main stat, but the main stat is kind of distributed upon which type of artifact you get, and the substat is okay. Actually, I can't predict the substat. The substat farming in Genshin Impact also sucks, so I can't. So that's a thing there. So you can tell how pissed I am about this whole thing. The ecosystem just sucks, dude. It needs a reward. Please fix it. Also, not to mention, you do get domains, mind you. There are actually domains. If you look at the map, you have a chance. You can go to a tacit field to get the similar guaranteed chance of getting a specific set at a specific rarity for your echoes. There's another problem, chat. It costs 60 energy, not 40, 60. Not 20. 60. 60 energy just to eliminate 2 RNGs. Well, actually 1.5 RNGs, because you're still fighting between the set. Actually 2.5 RNG. You are eliminating half of this RNG. You're eliminating the RNG of catching an echo. You're eliminating the RNG of getting a rarity, and you're half eliminating the RNG of the set because you're still fighting between 2 different sets. That for 60 energy, I'm not gonna lie to you, especially, and bear with me because this still blows my mind, right? My mind still goes back to, wait, why would I use 60 energy here when I can go to the overworld to get echoes manually? I'm sorry if I'm losing my mind here, chat, but like this. First of all, this is what they should do. This is the first fix. Number 1, double, heck, maybe triple the mob density of this world. I know I heard it from people from CBT1 that they did increase the mob count from CBT1 to CBT2. But it's not enough. They still need to do it a little bit more. Increase it just a teeny bit, like just straight up double it. Straight up double it, and most of these issues are not fully fixed, but it's band-aid fixed. As long as you give enough mobs for a casual player to go to 2 different teleport waypoints to get generally enough echoes for them to be satisfied, that should be good. It would give retention, because I do love the fact that you can collect echoes from monsters, regular monsters, because it allows very free-to-play friendly approach into building your characters. However, when it's involving infinite farming strats, that's when you lose players, especially casual players who doesn't really want to commit that much time into playing the game on a daily basis. That's one of those situations. If you can lower the cost of the tacit field back to 40, then we'll start to be a little bit more. It's definitely a more, quote, negotiable, unquote, energy cost for that, right? 60 is a bit too much. If you can put it to 40, that would generally be good. That would be great. If you want to keep the 60, at least if you go to like specific parts of the overworld, you get a higher chance of getting a certain element. I'm not sure if that's actually a thing, but if that's not a thing, you can probably make that a thing, right? Like if you go to Dim Forest, you have a higher chance of getting arrow echoes, or if you go to the Winding Axis Mire, then you get a higher chance of getting the light damage one. Central Plains, you go in there, you find more energy region based enemies. Lower the RNG somehow, that's my point. Lower the RNG potential of these sets and the echoes. Or make it so that a player can actually debate or negotiate the worth of using energy or going out there to actually farm these echoes. Make it worth their while. Or at least make them think it's worth their while. We're already predatory in this case. Might as well make it a little less predatory so people can fall for it more. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel like that would actually be a first step. That's a good first few steps for solving this echo issue. Oh yeah, feedback. Very few feedback / communication. If you guys saw my Twitter, I basically got flamed. I got flamed for it because my big primary concern about this game, right? Let's actually look at it here, right? Questionnaire 1. Questionnaire 2, Union level questionnaire. Union level questionnaire 2, localization quality surveys. Throughout 9 days of this beta, there have been 5 surveys, 2 of which are connected to your union level. So if you actually haven't playing the game, if you haven't been playing the beta that much, or very slow in increasing your union level, you might not even get to questionnaire 2. But the point is, you were given 5 surveys total. I was given 5 surveys totals. Just for the record, chat, I have done pretty much all the quests, all the given main quests and side quests. There might be a few hidden side quests here and there, but like I've done almost everything that I could find. I have no more quests, and I did all these quests because I just wanted to get my union level up high, like union level up to 35. That's how I got that far. I grind, bro. I'm putting Zenless Zone Zero CBT2 as a comparison because that is the other beta that I've played. I didn't play a lot of Gacha betas, but the Zenless Zone Zero is also a beta that I spent a lot of time on. You guys know that how much I grinded in that shit. I grinded so hard on that Zenless Zone Zero closed beta 2. Zenless Zone Zero beta 2 gave about estimated from 25 to 30 surveys. That's the rough number. There might be a little less than that, but it was a lot. I think on the first week I had to like do a survey or two a day. And I wrote this and I complained about this on my Twitter. Hold on, let me get my Twitter out, chat. I think it's better if I just show you myself, right? Hold on. So I wrote, while Wuthering Wave beta is pretty good showing content, and I'm enjoying the game's combat and movement, I'm slowly getting frustrated on this beta's attempt to get feedback. Betas are meant to collect feedback, and it's day 7 and only 4 surveys, 5, sorry, and which one doesn't work. The survey that doesn't work, by the way, is the localization survey. There is a localization survey that we were given, and we were supposed to, say, all right, so what do you think about the translation so far on the game? I said, it's not that good right now. I mean, it's generally readable. It's readable. We can understand basically what's going on, but there's a lot of vocabulary choice or grammar mistakes here and there. It's not critical, but like, if you can polish that out, that'd be great. I wrote all that down. I put that feedback, and I put like what kind of feedback I wanted to put about the localization, and I pressed enter, right? I pressed send. Funnily enough, very funnily enough, I was given a Chinese message pop-up box, and as proof, I was given this Chinese message prompt at the very end, and I'm like, wait, what is this supposed to mean? Wait, what does that mean? I don't understand Chinese. So I searched it up. I searched up Google Translate. I got my phone up. You know how the phone app, the Google phone thing where you can actually take a picture of whatever text and they'll translate it for you. And it was written, sorry, you didn't fill out all the information in the survey, so you can't send this survey. But I did. That is literally how I was able to press the button next. Yeah, no, that localization survey, it's not sent. I could not send it. And I've talked with other people with the beta. They also had the same problems. I'm pretty certain that maybe 1% did their localization survey. And then I wrote, in comparison, Zenless Zone's beta had 20 to 30 surveys throughout the whole thing asking for feedback. Kurogames not really giving any openings for more services, making me feel that they're just there to show off your game and not actually use the beta. Okay, the second statement is a little overboard. They're probably not that greedy. They're not probably not like showing off. The end of it, I was a little overly pissed. That's why I wrote it that way. But the end of the day is that Kurogames is not really opening it up. I sent like 5 feedbacks, and I don't think they were answered. And then people respond with, let me ask you something. After sending 30 survey, what has changed? What are things that look different from beta 1 to beta 2? That's right, nothing. So shut your shit thinking Hoyoverse. Ever really even listening to your talk shit opinions, they will do it like they don't care. I'm like, bro, I want this game to be as successful as Genshin Impact and Startup. I want Genshin Impact to get a fucking competition so we can get stuff. Oh my lord. I guess to people's heads, people's mind, there do exist giving too much feedback, I guess, but it's also a thing that there's too little feedback, right? Yes, you can maybe too much feedback opportunities might be tiring to some of the beta players, but there's not much. Like Wuthering Waves is the opposite side of the same issue. They're not giving us a lot of opportunities for feedback. So we don't exactly know if they're actually taking. Also, just a little side note: the survey in Wuthering Waves is shorter. Like when I did the survey between Zenless Zone Zero and Wuthering Waves, Zenless Zone Zero is infinitely shorter. And they're asking for very specific things. They're asking if you have about what do you think about the story, and the union level one was like, what do you think about the environment, and what do you think about the overworld where you're having fun? Good questions. More of those, please. Please, more of those. I can go inside deeper and say it's like there are 20 surveys, but yet barely anything changed. It's up to the developers if they actually change it or not. I just want an open window. I just want an open window where I can actually express these things, not having to go to a YouTube channel or like a Discord forum. You have a game server up right now for the beta testers. Use it, please. Let me give my feedback to you guys directly. Make sure that this game is going great. You know, like this is like the 30. Also, the 2030 survey one was during the second closed beta for Xenoblade Zone Zero. We don't know if Xenoblade Zone Zero is going to have a third beta or official release, but we can only tell by then if they actually applied that set feedback, right? Can't really say for sure. Like you can't say barely anything changed, because also the difference between the first closed beta and second closed beta is huge, because I know the first closed beta was very just about the combat. Second closed beta actually added hollow exploration, the TV zone and stuff like that, and I know so many people complained about it and debated about it, but that's outside of the scope. It's fine. And yeah, what's really worrying me is that there hasn't been any communication attempt from Kuro on that same level. That's it. Like that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that Kuro isn't applying feedback. If they are applying feedback, awesome. That's great. Please do that. Can we just get more opportunities for that, please? Just that's all I ask. That's, you know, maybe a day or two, every day or two, just sending, so how does it feel so far? We didn't even have a weekly, right? Like when Monday hit, they didn't send us any survey. It was just nothing. There was nothing that they asked us. You know, maybe per week, like every Monday they just send a message saying, hey, we played for a week. It's time for a weekly survey. How you feel about the game after playing a whole week? That would be great. That would be great. That would be perfect. Please. What's the point of having nurses or amounts of service when most of them won't be used anyways? That just means Kurogames is bad. Don't they realize they're outing themselves when someone who doesn't play the game is yapping about it? You're talking bad shit for someone in judgment cut distance. Yeah, about that. Sorry, I play the game. I have the beta. Thank you. But yeah, that's what I mean. We need more surveys, please. If you're applying the feedback, if you're making the game better day by day in your beta, amazing. But we still want to communicate. That's why Genshin Impact right now is having massive problems and complaints for people, because they aren't communicating. Why do you think Genshin is in a cesspool fire mess right now on Twitter, on every single freaking platform? It's because they're not communicating. We're literally fighting because there's no communication with Hoyoverse and the community. I am literally asking Kurogames to avoid that same shit, but apparently asking for more surveys is a shit mentality, I guess. It's crazy. It blows my mind. Some people on Twitter needs to just, you know, stay on Twitter. Please. I'm not asking them to just go touch grass. I'm just asking them to just, you know, stay on Twitter. Just I hope whatever you do, you just stay on Twitter. That's it. I don't want to talk about the gacha. I really don't. I should actually explain how the gacha in this game works, but I don't want to talk about it majorly because it doesn't really make a difference. I think there used to be a time for me where I, you know, talk with friends about how a game's gacha is different between different games, right? I still do, actually. I still do to this game, but I don't take it as seriously anymore. Ever since I was talking to a guy who was playing Blue Archive, he also played Genshin before, but he said, he told me that spending money in Blue Archive is much better because you have a higher chance of getting a 3-star than Genshin Impact. I think the moment I heard that, I was like, oh wait, it doesn't matter compared to gacha system between two games because you spent money on it. you legitimately just spent money. That's it, right? Like the fact that you have a gacha system in any game, no matter how F2 friendly it is or whale friend like whale constricting it is, you're still putting a predatory market in it. Like a friend told me, and I would like to quote her, I would like to quote what she said, is you don't get bonus points for making gacha better. The moment you have gacha in the game, it's already a negative point, and you don't get any levities for being slightly better than the other. So that's why I think talking about gacha in comparison to other games is pretty goddamn useless. It's useless. You're still spending money. Oh no, I have like 0.5% chance higher of getting a thing. Yeah, you still spent money on it, bro. You still lose. At the end of the day, you're still losing. You're still losing money. That's it. So gacha in this game is it's 80 pity for all banners. All banners have 80 pity. The good side, the uppies, the weapon banner is not a 50-50 or 75-50. You're just guaranteed. You're straight up just guaranteed to get a weapon, the signature weapon. Also, the permanent banner and there's also a permanent weapon banner. Permanent weapon banner, you can choose between the 5, and whatever you choose, you will get that weapon in every 80 banner. Permanent banner is permanent banner. Pulls for character and pulls for weapon are two different resources. So if you go in here, if you look at Afterglow tutorial, we have Radiant Tide and we have Forging Tide. In a least sense of ways, it's actually slightly better because when you get a monthly reset, you get you get a chance to buy 5 of each. So you get 5 on your exclusive character banner and 5 on your exclusive weapon banner. In the most objective stance, this is actually a better deal than you get in Genshin Impact. That's for sure. I'm not disagreeing with that. But again, comparing gachas, it's useless. It's very useless. You're just, that's it. This one gets better rates than the other one. Yay. Yeah, you still spend money. That's it. I think the character dupe is still just on. I think this is still. I don't know if this is actually going to be an actual thing. We'll have to see. If this is an actual thing, that's great. But if it's not, well, it's also on standard. Actually, they also have that. If this is actually a thing, that's great. But it also means that you're actually pulling, right? To get the Afterglow Coral, you have to get dupes of the said characters. In a way, that's good, but it also implies that you are going to be pulling for a lot of pulls. There's always like there's a caveat for everything with the gacha, right? It sounds great, but once you look inside it, then you're like, oh wait, yeah, no, we have to do a lot of things. If it stays, it's good, but it's you know what I'm trying to say here. Is this game ready for launch? Bottom answer is no. This game is not ready for launch. By the way, I'm actually like overlooking optimizations and graphics, missing text files, and no voice acting, or at least on the English language, because this is still a beta. They probably didn't have enough time to actually add all that shit. It's fine. That's fine. That's okay. Because if they add it in the end game, and if they optimize the graphics in the end game, on the game's release, like this becomes like a good thing. But if you're talking about like the systems, like the core mechanics of the games, this game is not ready for launch. Priority thing to fix is the ecosystem. Like 1,000,000%. That needs to be fixed. That needs to be reworked. That, because if we try to release the ecosystem as is right now, I legit think like this game could like flop real hard if the ecosystem is as is right now. Bump up the mob density by twice maybe, and also maybe make a region dependent set variants, like higher chance, not full chance, but like higher chance where you get like a fire set and a fire zone, right? That makes sense, right? You're getting mobs in a fire zone. That way you get targeted. People can target farm. If they don't get to set in there, then they'll really just say, oh wait, I was just being really unlucky regarding that situation, and just be done with it. You're giving us so much leverage that on like lowered RNG that people will actually go out of the way to actually farm those things. If you straight up make everything super RNG heavy, it's going to be very taxing for the players. Just give enough levity on the RNG for the players to think that they're getting a good deal out of it, but you're just doing a little less labor than you originally were meant to be. But because you are doing a lot less labor than you originally did, they'll be satisfied with it. They'll be like, I mean, it could be worse, and then and then give you like the thumbs up, like, hey, you made something extremely bad less worse. It's still bad, but it could have been worse, and then they'll be like, this is great. Because they could have made this bad thing infinitely worse. Do you know why I say this? Because this is the mentality the Genshin has. This is the mentality that a lot of other gacha games have. Especially gacha games that are kind of crumbling apart. Most of the community just kind of like, yeah, at least this gacha game that I'm like, that's slowly crumbling apart could have been a lot worse, man. But it's not as bad now, so it's like, we'll take that as a W. Every gacha community has a stash of copium somewhere. It's not even hidden, actually. It's actually really visible where the stash of copium is. Depending on how well the game is doing dictates how much concentration of that copium they're huffing in. I'm okay with people comparing this game with Genshin Impact. Again, we are pretty much looking forward to one thing: is this game going to be as good as Genshin Impact, so it creates competition? So of course comparison needs to be made. You can't make a comparison. Like, you can't make a comparison and just say, oh yeah, this game is going to be much better than Genshin Impact. The whole precedence of that sentence is comparing with Genshin Impact. So yes, we have to compare with Genshin Impact at this point. But it shouldn't be a swear off, you know? It should be a well-deserved discussion between the two sides, right? No two sides, they should be passionate about the topic they speak of, but they shouldn't go in terms towards to a level of, you know, calling each other slurs. And that's what's happening in Twitter, unfortunately. Like, you know, they're comparing it, but they're also putting too much of their emotions and too much of profanity in there. Then it becomes a very unproductive debate, because, you know, at that point everyone's just, you know, ready to just throw hands. If these two Twitter heads were like actually up like one to one like on real life, they would throw hands. Actually, they probably wouldn't. They'd be too scared. But you know what I'm starting to say. They'll probably think about like throwing hands at each other. I think podcasts with content creators is like another really good way, because they're not, most of the time, 90% of the time, they're not exactly like going at each other's throat. They're actually having a pretty good discussion about it. Overall, Wuthering Waves beta still leaves a lot to be desired. As I play this game, I'm like, I still desire a lot more changes in the game. But it is, to give a silver lining, it is going in a massively good direction. Especially with the combat and movement, it's going in a very good direction. They just need to fix everything else around it, and then boom, we have a good game. We actually have a good game by then. We have a game where we can probably compare it with Genshin and say, wow, both games are pretty damn good at this point, so we can just play both games. If we can play both games at the same time. Honestly, that would be, for the gamers at least, for the people, for the gaming community, that would be the massive W that we've been looking for after all these years. But right now, I don't think Wuthering Waves is at that level. I think Wuthering Wave needs to put a little bit more effort into making making Overworld and the ecosystem better, and then I think it has the potential to make Genshin and Hoyoverse start to sweat a little bit, like sweat a little bit of anxiety. You know, they get sweats of anxiety. That's the result that not just me, that everyone should want. That's it. That's all I'm asking. Honestly, I still have hope for this game. That's for certain. That's the conclusion.